Now, did a damning insight into how Harry's flurry of legal wrangles first came about. This is the moment the Duke revealed he never considered suing the owner of the Daily Mirror until 2018, the year he coincidentally married a certain Ms. Markle.
When did you first go to solicitors to seek advice about a possible claim about Mirror Group newspapers?
I didn't go to them. I bumped into my lawyer, David Sherborne, in France. It's in my book. This meeting happened in 2018.
So prior to you bumping into him, you hadn't sought advice?
No, not at all.
So it wasn't a concern over any particular article that led you to go to solicitors?
No, I'd never been shown anything. It was all contained by the palace. Even if I'd wanted to, I wouldn't have been allowed to. It was a way to put the abuse, intrusion and hate that was coming towards me and my wife, and seeing if there was any way to find a different course of action without relying on the institution's way.
But you'd known that for years, that News Group had been intercepting your phone. Did you first decide to sue the News Group and then decide to claim against Mirror Group newspapers? You knew that there was no call data from Mirror Group newspapers.
There was industrial-scale destruction of evidence.
You constantly refer to destruction of evidence. Where do you get this idea of destruction of evidence by the Mirror Group?
My legal team.
So, Lady C, so much to go on here, but I guess the first question is, does it look pretty obvious now that Meghan was a factor in his unwise legal campaign, given that he started it in 2018?
Oh, absolutely. But, you know, I have been told, because I've been doing inquiries, that, in fact, Meghan is behind all of this. Because, remember, Piers Morgan was the editor of the Mirror for much of the period. And evidently she is intent on destroying Piers Morgan. And it would appear to be an elaborate scheme to destroy Piers Morgan and also to set them up. Both she and Harry set themselves up as being champions of the underdog. Well, I mean, the whole thing is bizarre. It's actually crazy. You know, none of it makes sense if you stop to examine the reality. I mean, Harry's doing on things that happened 30 years ago or 20 years ago, and things that he's now saying upset him now, but they didn't upset him at the time. Well, you're supposed to be upset at the time. You're not supposed to be upset when you discover 20 or 30 years later. None of it actually makes sense, except as a wonderful plant by Samantha's conniving younger sister.
Well, look, let me bring Sam in now. Sam, great to speak to you. This is the first time that you've spoken publicly about this case. Do you think, knowing your sister like you do, that she is potentially invested in this legal action because, as Lady C says, she wants to destroy Piers Morgan?
In my opinion, that may be a small factor, but you hit something on the head when you played that clip from Harry of him bumping into his attorney in 2018 and suggesting that it was then that he decided to file suit. Let's reflect back to a letter that he an email to Jason Knopf with regards to finding freedom, wherein the letter said, we have to make it look like we were not involved. Tell Meghan this, give her heads up, but we want to make it look like we were not involved.
And this is about that book by Omid Scobie, to clarify.
This was from Harry to Jason Knopf, the letter. And so on that note, I'm going to say for him to play victim or for anyone to try to bounce it all off on my sister, I think is really missing the mark. You know, there's a huge move right now to censor the media, this disinformation wave. And it seems like he's reaching back so many years for straws just to find some way, in my opinion, to chip away at the block of censoring the media, because he can't, in my opinion, have full control of the media. And, you know,
he's already said that he doesn't believe in the First Amendment in the US, for example, which enshrines freedom of the press.
Oh, but he takes a lot of liberties, spewing and abusing it all over the place and enjoying it to his advantage. So what I'm going to say is, if you look at Spare an example of that. If you look at the Oprah interview, if you look at Finding Freedom, my sister was not involved in that in a vacuum. He was participating. In my opinion, he is a purveyor of disinformation. So for him to say he's a victim and all of the articles are psychologically damaging, what about all of the articles and the social media attacks that were generated from Spare, from Oprah, from Finding Freedom, the attacks on the royal family and our family that he was.
And you, I mean, what a hypocrite. Exactly, what a hypocrite, because he has actually put out so much negativity. Sam, you are right, though, to say that this is part of a campaign. I actually want to show you another moment from our recreation of what happened in court today. So this is when Harry actually tried joking about his mounting legal cases against other newspapers.
There were a flurry of other articles on the same day that the Mirror article was published. Have you seen this particular story on your relationship with Chelsy Davy in any other publications, such as the Daily Record and Daily Star?
Not those papers, I don't think.
Why not?
I don't believe there was industrial-scale phone hacking at those publications. I have no reason to believe this was the case, and I haven't looked further into other titles. I'm quite busy with other litigation, my lord.
So, Lady C, it's all a game to him, isn't it?
Well, it's a game, but it's a game that's very politically motivated.
Oh, yeah.
Both Harry and Meghan have very huge political ambitions. You know, I have been told that a part of the agenda is whether they win or lose, whether he wins or loses. In this case, they basically feel they will have won because they are creating a platform and setting themselves up as being champions of the underdog, which is ludicrous because Harry's not an underdog.
No. And Meghan's not an underdog, is she, Sam? I mean, Meghan, despite what she claims, you know, she had a good family, great support from your father. She had her education paid for. I mean, she's hardly an underdog, is she, Sam?
No, I'm sorry. I got to throw down this spike belt right now. It's like another day in Willy Wonka's world of imagination. You cannot censor the world, villainize the world on this disinformation wave that seemingly people are riding around the world, and at the same time be the purveyor of the disinformation that you seek to silence.
Yes.
What you want to silence everybody else. You want to silence everybody else, but you want the media to serve you and fluff your ego and get out your message.
Yeah, and tell your lies. And tell your lies time and again. Look, Sam, I just want to ask you about, because we've had quite a lot of our contributors talk about how odd it is, Harry's obsession with Chelsy Davy, his ex-girlfriend. He became very emotional talking about her in court over the past couple of days. He mentions her 118 times in his witness statement, whereas your sister, Meghan, is only named 5 times. Now, I know you don't know Chelsy, but you do know Meghan. How is she going to feel, Sam, having Harry talking so publicly, so constantly about his ex-girlfriend?
In my opinion, clearly he's still in love with her, and it seems like she's the one that got away. And from what I've been seeing on social media, you know, maybe she's lucky, and that's a good thing, because I highly doubt she would want to be going through all of this. I doubt she would endorse what he did in sport.
Yeah. And so how will Meghan deal with this? I mean, is Meghan, because obviously you know her so well, Sam, is she a jealous person? Will she front Harry up about this? I mean, how is she going to feel about it?
Well, I can point us back to the fact that reportedly Harry is not allowed to speak to so many of his friends. I heard that there was a rift at one of his friends' weddings in Jamaica, that there was an issue there. So if it is a matter of jealousy, well, poor Harry. But you know, Harry is not 5 years old. He made these choices. He signed up for the package, and he can deal with it. He's got to be accountable. And, you know, all I can say is I'm thinking it's probably, in the cinematic sense, the War of the Roses inside of Montecito, in my opinion.
Yeah. Lady C, final word to you, Lady C. How badly has Harry been damaged by the past 2 days?
I think he's been very badly damaged reputationally because he's shown himself to be arrogant, ignorant, impertinent, and I think that he's shown himself to be totally delusional and that he has no regard for anybody's opinion but himself and doesn't really get a handle on reality. But if this is about winning this lawsuit, it's a disaster. But if it's not only about this lawsuit, if it's about them creating a platform for them to be whinging with their politics,
Then jackpot. Yeah, no, I get you. I get you. Yes.
What about not just the lawsuits? What about in life? He talks about, he's so vocal on his little feelings, his psychological distress and damage. What about the psychological distress of the Queen as she was dying and the Oprah?
Indeed, but that's why I don't think the public are with him. But look, what a joy to bring you two together virtually, because I know your close confidants, Lady Colin Campbell, Samantha Markle. Thank you both so much.